The learning objectives for this chapter are: why have voyage planning? Company responsibilities to provide adequate procedures and instructions. Factors to consider when deciding the appropriate route. Principles of voyage planning and its execution, with and without ECDIS. The purpose of voyage planning is to adequately prepare for a voyage, provide the necessary support to the bridge team, and ensure that the ship can be navigated safely between ports from berth to berth. A voyage plan should cover ocean, coastal, and pilotage waters. All navigators must be briefed regarding the proposed navigation throughout the voyage, from berth to berth. If the plan needs to be changed for any reason, all navigators must be briefed thoroughly about these changes. The voyage plan should be in compliance with all statutory requirements and the practice of good seamanship. STCW requires all intended voyages to be planned in advance, taking into consideration all relevant information. All courses laid down shall be checked before the commencement of the voyage. Every management or ship-owning company must have a comprehensive safety management policy. It should provide practical guidance concerning safe navigation, watchkeeping, and include a clear statement of the company's safety policy, the importance of the safety of life and safety of the ship taking precedence over all other considerations. It should specify the bridge watchkeeping duties and procedures and the responsibilities of all watchkeepers. The required procedures for voyage planning and its execution should be clearly defined. Only the use of the appropriately corrected recent edition charts and up-to-date nautical publications should be allowed. Procedures to ensure that all navigation equipment and main and auxiliary machinery are regularly maintained, available and fully operational. There should be included suitable advice concerning all main emergency responses. A no-blame accident and near-miss reporting procedure should be encouraged. The need to record all voyage events and frequent ship's position recording procedures. Clear procedures for handing over and familiarization of new staff at changes of crew. Provide a recognized system for identifying competence of seafarers, any special training needs and suitability of staff prior to sending to ships. Emphasize the importance of regular contact with the company, including the designated person under the ISM code, and keeping the company aware of all relevant events and concerns. A voyage plan should aim to establish the most favourable route while maintaining appropriate margins of safety and safe passing distances. It should also provide contingencies in the event of emergencies. When deciding upon the most appropriate route, the following main factors should be taken into account: the marine environment and possible weather routing, the adequacy and reliability of charted hydrographic data along the route, the availability and reliability of navigation aids, coastal marks, lights and radar conspicuous targets for position fixing along the route, any routing constraints imposed by the ship's draft and load line, type of cargo, etc. Consider areas of high traffic density and use traffic separation lanes when possible. Ability to continually monitor weather forecasts and expected current, tidal, wind, swell and visibility conditions. Avoid areas where dangerous and adverse currents could occur. Take into account ship operations that may require additional sea room, for example, tank cleaning or pilot embarkation. Follow traffic regulations and recommendations such as ship's routing schemes and ship reporting systems. Check the reliability of the propulsion, navigation and steering systems on board prior to departure. Benefit from own and others' experience with the planned route with the type of ship. Remember, good voyage planning can reduce stress, improve voyage efficiency, and provide additional safety. The intended voyage should be planned prior to departure, using appropriate and available corrected charts and publications. The master should check that the tracks laid down are safe, the plan is suitable for the ship, and the chief engineer should verify that the ship has sufficient fuel, water and lubricants for the intended voyage. In addition, it is the duty of the master to exercise professional judgment in the light of continually changing circumstances. The position and existing situation of the vessel should be continually monitored and kept safe at all times. A voyage plan should be prepared in detail, taking all the existing and potential circumstances into account, and it should be thoroughly checked by the master before departure. When a route planning process is completed, it is essential that the whole route is validated and checked against required safety limits by the master. In addition, if an ECDIS is to be used for route planning, validation against preset limits can also be executed by the system. However, always remember that the responsibility for ship safety and maintaining it on a safe route remains with the master and watchkeeping navigator. In most deep-sea ships, it is customary for the master to delegate the initial responsibility for preparing the voyage plan to the officer responsible for navigational equipment and publications. In small ships, the master may plan the voyage himself. While responsibility for the plan in pilotage waters still rests with the ship, the pilot on boarding, or before if practicable, should advise the master of any local discrepancies so that the original plan can be updated. The master is responsible for the voyage plan and its execution, even when he has delegated the actual initial work to somebody else. There are four main stages in the planning of a safe voyage. Appraisal, establishing the route strategy, collection of relevant information, and its validation. Planning, collating the information into the safest and most efficient route, taking into account the widely ranging parameters. Execution, execution of the planned route with voyage and communication control. Monitoring, ensuring that the voyage plan is being consistently followed, taking into account the changing circumstances. Sometimes every detail of a voyage plan has not been anticipated, and additional items must be added. This will provide greater competence in future planning. However, this does not detract from the value of the plan, which is to prepare the watchkeeper for what courses the ship must follow to achieve the desired voyage and any dangers to be aware of during the voyage. Press the ICS button to display the passage plan checklist. Before planning can commence, the charts, publications and other information suitable for the voyage will need to be gathered and studied to ensure they are appropriate. Make sure that only approved official charts and publications are used. The use of the ICS checklist is highly recommended. Decide what parameters will govern the route chosen. Rumline or Great Circle, load line restrictions, weather routing, traffic congestion, desired safety margins, etc. Study all the appropriate documents, making long ocean courses on appropriate scale charts, and ensuring improved larger scale charts are available for coastal passages. Move systematically through the intended voyage. An ocean passage may involve minimal preparation in terms of courses, distances and turning points, but may require the use of a series of great circle tracks and transferring courses from the mnemonic chart. For ocean passage and open water legs, smaller scale charts should be used. For coastal and pilotage planning, plotting each course, wheel over and alteration points should be marked on large-scale charts. Navigation in coastal and pilotage waters requires a more comprehensive preparation. Danger areas should be hatched to make them more conspicuous. The route plan should take into account the need to monitor own ship's position along the route, identify contingency actions at waypoints, and allow sufficient space for collision avoidance in compliance with collision regulations. The voyage plan should incorporate the following details. Planned track to make good, showing the true course of each leg. The distance of each leg. The desired speed required on each part of the route. Wheel over positions prior to an alteration of course, where appropriate. Any planned turning radius or turn rate, where appropriate. Maximum allowed off-track margins for each leg with suitable parallel index lines and navigational reference marks. Reference to any cross-track currents or tidal flow which may influence the course to steer. The main details of the route plan should be recorded using sketches, if appropriate, so that the plan can be readily referred to at the main conning position. Voyage planning should be done on paper charts and supplemented by using electronic chart displayed on an electronic chart display and information system. The use of ECDIS with digital raster charts can only be used in conjunction with paper charts and not as the sole navigational system. Fully comprehensive voyage planning involves both time and effort. The benefits may, however, be seen in terms of being prepared for all events, overall passage time, and safety. Voyage planning with ECDIS offers the navigator a number of automatic options, such as establishing a safety contour or safety area around own ship, and checking ship's draft against available water depth throughout the proposed ship's route. Violation of any preset criteria will trigger an alarm, both when the route is being planned and also when being executed. In the hands of a qualified operator, the ECDIS, with all its automatic checking, is a fine tool for safe voyage planning. However, safe voyage planning still remains the full responsibility of the captain. Sound procedures for checking the ECDIS must be established and followed at all times. It is strongly recommended to do the whole planning on paper charts before transferring the route to the raster chart display systems and retaining the paper charts as the primary navigation system. Any known difference in chart datum between that used by the paper chart, that used by the electronic position system, GPS, and that of the electronic chart display system must be applied to fixes and any transferred positions. Reference to these should be noted at the planning stage. The complete passage plan, as displayed on the electronic chart display system, must be checked for safety, accuracy, and completeness before it can be used in conjunction with paper charts. Care must be taken when transferring route plans to electronic navigation aids, such as GPS, since the ship's position is likely to be WGS 84. Route plans sent to GPS for monitoring cross-check errors must be of the same datum. In this example, the ship's draft is 8 meters. Route planning is done on datum EUR 50, and ship positioning is done by GPS. The ship will run aground. Be aware that routes and radar maps displayed on the radar will have been drawn with reference to a fixed reference position and locked in position by the GPS. Care must be taken to ensure that these maps and positions transferred to the radar have used the same datum. Errors in relative and own ship's positions transferred to maps and route information may result in displayed information being incorrect and misleading. In open waters, the route selected will be either a great circle, a composite great circle, or a rhumb line route. When planning ocean passages, the following should be consulted. Small-scale ocean planning and routing charts providing information on ocean currents, prevailing winds and ice limits. Mnemonic projection ocean charts for plotting great circle routes. Load line zone chart to ensure that the load line rules are complied with. Charts showing any relevant ship routing schemes. Ocean current charts. Ice information chart. Meteorological information chart, weather routing information, etc. Other available services along the route. Voyage planning in ocean waters should normally allow for larger safety margins than coastal sailing. Press the ICS button to display the Navigation in Ocean Waters checklist. Compared with open waters, margins of safety in restricted waters can be critical, as the time available to take corrective action may be limited. The size and manoeuvring characteristics of the ship and any limitations that the ship may have, including reliability problems with its propulsion and steering systems, may influence the route selected. Ships' routing schemes and reporting systems along the route, as well as vessel traffic services, should be taken into account. Coastal weather bulletins and navigational warnings may require changes to the original route plan. Press the ICS button to display the Navigation in Coastal Waters checklist. Monitoring of ships' actual track should be done visually and by all available means. In practice, the combination of one or two methods is normally used most of the time, but these should vary to suit the prevailing circumstances. The use of parallel index lines provides continuous monitoring and should be used whenever possible. Modern systems, such as ECDIS, integrated navigation systems, etc., can provide a lot of useful information and assistance to the navigator, both in monitoring and execution of maneuvers. However, it is easy to forget that these systems do fail from time to time, usually when most needed. So a prudent navigator has backup procedures available at all times. Without continuous and effective monitoring, the most comprehensive route planning has little or no value. A preliminary plan should be prepared covering pilotage waters and the roles of the bridge team personnel. Planning for anchoring off the port or aborting port entry in the event of problems arising should feature as part of the plan. The plan should also identify charted features that will assist monitoring progress and include contingency measures in the event of primary equipment failure, poor visibility, etc. Press the ICS button to display the ICS Preparation for Arrival in Port checklist. In order to prepare for the pilot, an information exchange between the ship and port control should take place prior to boarding. Once the pilot is on board, details of the ship and the passage plan will need to be discussed in detail. Ship manoeuvring and ship particulars information should be available on the bridge. When the pilot is on board, he will assist with the navigation of the ship in local waters. The ship's position should still be checked by the watchkeeper and the pilot's actions monitored at all times. Remember, the master is still responsible for the safe passage of the vessel, with or without a pilot on board. Select each button to display sample forms. Ship routing measures have been introduced in a number of coastal waters to reduce the risk of collision between ships in areas of high traffic densities, keep shipping away from environmentally sensitive sea areas, and reduce the risk of grounding in shallow waters. Up-to-date nautical publications should always be consulted for relevant navigation information. Compliance with traffic separation schemes, whether recommended or mandatory, provides assistance in congested waters and should be followed whenever possible. The purpose of ships routing is to improve the safety of navigation in converging areas and in areas where the density of traffic is great or where freedom of movement of shipping is inhibited by restricted sea room, the existence of obstructions to navigation, limited depths, or unfavorable meteorological conditions. The following elements are used in the IMO routing system. Traffic separation scheme, a routing measure aimed at the separation of opposing streams of traffic by establishing traffic lanes. Traffic lane, areas within defined limits in which one-way traffic flows are established. A separation zone or line is a means to separate traffic lanes in which ships are proceeding in opposite or nearly opposite directions, or to separate traffic lanes from adjacent sea areas, or just to separate the different traffic lanes themselves. A roundabout is a separation point or circular zone or lane with defined limits and is normally found at the junction of several traffic lanes. An inshore traffic zone is the designated sea area between the landward boundary of a traffic separation scheme and an adjacent coast. A recommended route is a route of defined width for the convenience of ships in transit, which is often marked by centerline buoys. A deep water route is a recommended route which has been accurately surveyed for clearance of sea bottom and submerged articles. Archipelagic sea lanes are sea lanes designated for the continuous and expeditious passage of ships through archipelagic waters. A two-way route with one-way sections through a precautionary area. An area to be avoided. An area in which either navigation is particularly hazardous or it is exceptionally important to limit access and therefore should be avoided by all ships. A number of coastal states have established ship reporting systems in order to monitor the ships in their waters. In addition, reporting systems may be used for search and rescue purposes. The master should comply with the requirements of ship reporting systems and report all information required. In the future, a worldwide ship reporting system is expected to be made compulsory for all ships. The main purpose of a VTS is to make shipping safer in a particular area by monitoring the ship's traffic and provide relevant and updated information to all ships in the area. Information about ports offering VTS can be found in Sailing Directions and the VTS Port Guide.